Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Leading the Way in Education. I'm your host, Andrea de la Cerda, and each week I'm bringing you insightful discussions and news about changes in the landscape of education and entrepreneurship. As a 22-year entrepreneur, corporate executive, business coach, and leader, I mentor a community of change-making men and women to get out of their box and step into their true calling to make the biggest impact. I believe that increasing conflict in the world today is a sign of the need for systemic change and a call for authentic feminine power and passion to help make that happen. Today, I'm coming off of 2 glorious weeks in France. I'm embarrassed to say that this latest trip was my first break in nearly 18 months and my first vacation with my partner since 2019. I've decided that there is nothing that can prove just how dysregulated your mind and body are than an overdue vacation. I spent the first week in Provence with Fabienne Fredrickson. She's an entrepreneur, my business coach, and my friend. And side note, you can listen to her podcast, The Fabienne Show, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our time together was full of the most sensory pleasures of France. The smell of fresh produce, lavender and cappuccino, the silky feel of cashmere scarves in the market, the sounds of the local village, the taste of champagne and rosé, and the sight of just beautiful landscapes straight from a Claude Monet painting. It really was magical. According to Ipsos, 80% of women surveyed admitted that doing something for themselves, like savoring an aromatic bath, enjoying a hobby, or taking a walk, would make them feel relaxed and refreshed. But yet, alarmingly, 1/3 of the women surveyed spent 30 minutes or fewer minutes a day during doing nurturing activities just for themselves. But in contrast, a full 76% of American women spent up to 10 hours daily caring for their partners, husbands, and children. And 1 in 5, that's 19% of women, actually spent more than 10 hours a day caring for others. 1 of every 5 women in the same survey, 20%, admitted that if they took even 1 hour off to do something for themselves, it would make them feel selfish, guilty, or anxious and unsettled. And married women were 4 times as likely to feel selfish about taking time out for themselves as unmarried women. And that's 81% compared to 19% of unmarried women. And women with even 1 single child were 6 times as likely to feel guilty about taking time for their own needs as women without children. And according to the publication Healthy Women, this is leading to neglect of their own health. A shocking 78% said women often put off taking care of themselves or getting their health appointments made because they're just so busy taking care of other family members' health. These statistics are alarming, and they are truly taking a toll on women's physical and mental health over time. While I was away, I started to realize just how much this applies to me too. This experience really challenged me to think about the aspects of pleasure in my life that I can take back with me into my business and in my personal life, both in the way we do things as a family and the way I model the most helpful and healthy behavior for my team. But why is it so challenging? I guess because I didn't immediately know what gives me pleasure in life beyond my work. It's sad, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but maybe you can relate to this. Rising to the challenge, I identified aspects of my life that I tolerate, and of those, what was in my control to change. And for those who are listening, I highly recommend this exercise. Whether you own a business or not, in the spirit of lifelong learning, what are you tolerating in your life that you actually have the power to change? When I really let myself think about this, my list was pretty long. I think I identified more than 80 things in my life that I don't like, but was just simply tolerating, including simple things like I have a rip in my bed sheets, the tattered bath towels that I just won't seem to throw out and replace, or the fact that my sweet, adorable doodle will not stop pooping in the house. And of course, there were many other annoyances of other people's behavior that are, of course, out of my control. But the things that I could control could make a difference in the overall comfort of my life if I address them. So I would challenge you today to think, what are these issues for you? If you had to make a list of 80 plus things in your life that you're just simply tolerating, what might some of those be? During the second week in France, I met up with my husband in Paris to celebrate his birthday. It was a long overdue rendezvous, and it's actually his very first trip to Europe, which made it really extra special. I was anxious to pick up this conversation with him and find out what he's just tolerating in life. And I have to admit, it wasn't an immediately comfortable conversation. Perhaps I should have set it up better. And it isn't about not appreciating the things that we have, but more about accepting the agency to change the things that can be changed. Improving your life doesn't mean you don't appreciate it. In fact, it's the opposite. Having respect for ourselves, our spouse, and our families means being the best stewards of our time here on earth, both for our benefit and for theirs. For those who are listening, I'd love to hear what you think about this idea and perhaps what you've done to balance the appreciation of life and taking continuous steps to improve care for yourself and focus on the things that truly bring you joy. Being in France was an important reminder that the pleasures in life can and should be prioritized in a way that we aren't used to doing in the US. Aperitivo time at 5:30, time for human connection, a long multi-course meal, and a slower pace of life perhaps would address some of the critical mental health issues that transcend each industry, generation, and region in this country. We did an episode back in May about the mental health crisis with teachers, which pains me to no end. How are we not taking care of the people who care for our children, our future? And what can we learn from French culture about how to manage what really matters at the end of the day? I'm going to replace those towels and bed sheets and hire a dog walker in the morning to support my poor pup to create better habits. But regardless of where you live or what you do, how can those intolerables, when you identify them, actually empower new habits and new decisions in your life? Thank you for joining me on this enlightening journey in today's episode of the Inspired Podcast. As we explored the lessons from my time in France, it's really clear that life is just too precious to spend merely tolerating the things that don't bring us joy. By identifying our intolerables and making intentional changes, we can enhance our well-being and set an example for those around us. I encourage each of you to take a moment to reflect on your own lives, what you can change to prioritize pleasure, connection, and fulfillment. And let's strive for a life that celebrates both our achievements and our well-deserved moments of joy. I look forward to continuing this conversation and uncovering even more insights together in future episodes. Remember, you have the power to create a life that truly resonates with your heart. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to exploring these insights in future episodes. And until next time, embrace the changes that empower us and lead us to a brighter and more joyful future. Tune in next week for another new episode. Thank you so much, and